It's After Hours with Mariah and Ty.
Your weekly download of their extracurricular activities. Powered by Adult Source. Goodies for grown-ups. 100% Canadian owned. Enjoy.
This week on After Hours with Mariah and Ty.
I was jumping on the couch, like air guitaring. So, like, Paper Tiger, like that, like the guitar licks, like. And at one point, the bear kind of brushes up against the tent.
All right, I'm gonna hit this off and say welcome. It's Ty chatting with Dan Mangan. Thank you for joining me today, Dan.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
You do not drink on tour. I did get this one because it reminded me of something you would find cool. This beer, we do a local beer.
That looks nice. A hammock. I do like a hammock.
It's the photography is done by SAIT students, which is like a secondary school.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna like crush this on the interview. Could you imagine if I just slapped
a little bit of Canadiana? Oh, there you go. Not all over your. Oh, Jesus. Look at you.
It's okay. That's okay.
Little bit of
the podcast
Canadian trivia. Speaking of hammocks, Said the Whale, another Vancouver band. Ben Worcester, one of the singers. For years as a side gig, worked in the hammock shop in Vancouver.
Really?
And he's a huge hammock aficionado. The guy knows more about hammocks than you can imagine.
Well, I'll have to ask him next time if I ever run into him. You got your show tonight, the day of this recording, September 25th at Mac Hall for the Natural Light Tour. That came out May 16th. So, Dan, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you a couple questions. It's going to be pretty laid back. And as I'm aware, this is the first stop on your tour. You're going to have to do a lot of these, I'm guessing. So I'm going to try to keep it kind of fresh. And I'll give you some questions about the album here. And then we're going to just talk about some things that you might not get asked at the other places.
Okay, you've done some digging.
Oh, man, like I'm like the deepest diver. I mean, look at me, my beer spilled everywhere. Yeah. I'm a professional guy. Yeah. So we're talking to Dan Mangan. 13 songs, 6 days, 2 album titles, many games of euchre, couple games of carom with the coin, I believe, where you flick it.
Yeah.
How was it to record Natural Light? How did that all feel?
Man, it was the best. It was honestly, I know that like every artist is like, oh, this is my best record, my new one. This truly was the most rewarding creative experience I've ever had. We went there not expecting to make a record. We went there just thinking we would do some demoing or something. So we had some mics and some gear. But I'd just written the song, It Might Be Raining, like days before. And I was like, hey, check out this song. Or, the first night when we get up there. And the guys are like, well, let's have a rip. And so we did like 3 takes and we're like, that's it. We captured it. That's it. Like, that's the song. We got it. And that moment when you like when a song becomes realized, when it's like you find it in the ether in a way, and it's just magical. It feels like a gift. And so the next morning they were like, well, do you have more songs? And I had this like Dropbox folder of like kind of a junk drawer of songs. Some of them, like there's some songs on this record I'd written back in 2017. They've been kicking around for ages and just never got put on a record. And we went through all of them. Like we cleaned out my junk drawer and just every song that we did is on the record. Like there was no stinkers that we didn't use or anything. And it was just this flow state for 6 days with these 3 guys, my best buds, and we just cooked for each other and went swimming and played music. And I've never felt that elated or free of worry. I think that you get into a studio and you're spending a bunch of money to be there and you're paying people to be there. And there's this feeling of like, oh God, this has to be the take. This is the one. And if I don't get it, then, and I just didn't feel that way. I was sort of like, well, if we get the take, that's great. If we're not, we'll get it later. Maybe who cares? Like whatever, we're just having fun. And I think that lack of desperation, that sort of like just laissez-faire kind of like approach to it of like, well, whatever happens, happens, yielded something that to me is wildly special. And at the end of that 6 days, we were looking at each other like half in tears, like, God, I feel like we just made like Rumors, it was just, it felt like a classic album in a way.
I've heard you speak about the songwriter ghetto before and how you actively try to not get pulled into that. So is that how that thought process came to record Natural Light, like while you were out there? Because you've made music through the pandemic over Zoom. I feel like this is as fresh as you can get. You're in a cabin in nature.
Yeah, I mean, like the songwriter ghetto is something I've been running from my whole life, in that I started out, I'm like a folky guy with a guitar. And then I just hated how that term and that genre sort of like crystallized in a way that it felt like a cage more than like a nice box to sit in with your friends. And so I've, forever I was experimenting and I was pushing my music in all sorts of directions, trying to, make it not that. And the funny thing about this record is that all of these songs are total singer-songwriter songs. Like they're all songs you could sit and play with a guitar, and you don't need the tricks, you don't need the band, you don't need all of the stuff. And so at their core, it was sort of me reclaiming that in a way. But I wanted one thing I really liked was how contained it was. Like the initial title for this record was going to be Contained Free, because those are the words we kept saying. Like we're all in a room together. Like half the time we're recording, we weren't even using headphones. We were just like playing, feeling the drums right next to you. There's lots of bleed in this recording, and there's lots of life in this recording. And you can feel the love that we have for each other. Me and Don Kerr and Jason Haberman and Mike O'Brien. Like I feel when I hear it now, I hear these songs, I can like feel the love that we have for each other imbued in the recordings.
Well, I'm very excited to hear it all tonight at Mac Hall.
That's right.
I believe you can get some tickets still available.
Yeah, there's still tickets available for tonight.
Now I'm going to ask you some stuff that hopefully you don't get asked throughout the rest of this tour, okay? So if you do, be like, how the hell has this happened twice? Aerosmith, Get a Grip. That was the first record you ever bought. You've gone on record and said that's not what you're into anymore. And I find it,
Did I say that?
I find it interesting that so many people take the first record they ever bought and champion it. So do you have any positives as modern day Dan Mangan to say about Get a Grip?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, like, I feel like after Get a Grip, Aerosmith really turned a corner. They went into just like the ballads, and the cheesy stuff. But that record's pretty cheesy too. But as a kid, that type of cheesy was perfect for me. Like I was jumping on the couch, like air guitaring, like mouthing. I was, watching the video for Crazy or Crying or Amazing or any of those songs, and like kind of like imitating Steven Tyler and stuff. I think at one point I even like had a fake like mic stand and probably put a bandana on it or something like that. But it was fun, like I mean, God, that music is nostalgic for me now. And even today, eat the rich, only one thing that they ever good for, eat the rich. Totally. Yeah. I mean, that was the first CD. I remember I bought a cassette before that.
Okay.
Which was Simpsons Sing the Blues.
Oh, that's worth a lot of money now.
Yeah. I had like Do the Bartman and Deep, Deep Trouble. But Aerosmith, Get a Grip, that was the first, I remember going to the store and having like $9 to buy a compact disc. And CDs were really new back then. It was like new technology. And I remember buying it. And because I only had one CD and I had to, I probably borrowed my sister's Discman or something like that, but I only had one CD. So I just listened to it 1,000 times. And I mean, I feel that like, even like with my first record, like I've crapped all over that record, and that record, it feels like someone else made that record. It was like a someone that isn't me now made that record. Because I'm just old now, and like the passage of time, you just start to feel like a different person than the person who made that. But I look back tenderly on that early work, and my first demos, my first EP, like it's bad. It's not good music, but I look back fondly at that kid, and I'm proud of him. Like I couldn't have done the next thing if I hadn't have done that. And at every step of the way, I was kind of blindly doing something that I hadn't. It requires a lot of audacity to do this, to go on stage in front of hundreds or thousands of people and to believe that you deserve all of their attention for like 90 minutes or 2 hours. Like that's kind of narcissistic. There's something sociopathic about wanting that much attention. And so you have to kind of have this like weird, audacious naivety to you in the early days to go out there and do it. So, I mean, and I didn't know what I was doing. Like the first record I made, like I didn't know what reverb was. Guys like, you want reverb on your vocal? I'm like, I don't know what that means, And so like, you're learning, right? And you're just out of your element until you're in your element. And I was also like emulating a lot of my heroes back then, Damien Rice and Ben Harper and Dave Matthews, and kind of trying to make music like them. And then I think eventually I fell into a thing that felt more like me. And so that's, obviously that's what I'm most proud of, is when I felt like I could put my own stamp on it.
Well, speaking of your previous work, you've worked with Jason Faulkner, who had worked with Beck. You've worked with Drew Brown, who has worked with Radiohead. You've had a Dave Grohl cameo, not the website service. He didn't record like a video for you, an actual cameo.
Yeah.
You're a fan of the 2000s era music. You've said this. Have you ever had a question that you just had to get out as a fan, or how do you bite your tongue when you're working with those guys?
Oh man, well I remember the first day working with Jason Faulkner, I was like, I'm not going to ask him any questions about Sea Change. I'm not going to ask him any questions about Sea Change.
It's a great album.
My favorite Beck record. And I was like, I'm not going to do it. And the second day, we're like, grabbing a coffee or something like that. I'm like, so like, Paper Tiger, like that, like the guitar licks, like that's really cool, man. And he's like, and then he told me, he's like, that was the first thing he ever recorded with Beck, was he came in on that session and he had never worked with him before. And Paper Tiger was the first thing they brought up, and he all those little guitar riffs. And then what's cool is that Beck's dad ended up writing the string arrangement after and using the guitar licks as the sort of like impetus for us. The strings are actually matching what Faulkner did. I think it's so cool. Like the crazy thing is when I was working with Drew Brown and Jason Faulkner and Joey Waronker, who has played on every Beck record, played on like Elliott Smith records and Fiona Apple. Like the guy's he's currently on tour with Oasis.
He did the John Squire thing, I believe, with Liam
Yeah,
Gallagher.
yeah. I mean, he's been on everything. Like he was, Roger Waters and REM, and he's like an iconic LA session guy. And he was also on Sea Change. And I'm in there, and like, who knocks on the door but Paul McCartney? Like opens the door and goes like, "Oh, sorry," and then wanders out. And then like half of these guys have worked with Paul McCartney before, so they're like, "Oh, that's Paul," and they're like, "Oh my God!" And someone pulls him back into the room, and we're chatting with him for like 25 minutes. It's like out of body experience. My son is named Jude. I got to tell Paul that. I'm sure he's had a million people tell him, "Oh, my son's name is Jude." It was a very surreal experience, but I think like many, many times over, you have to put yourself in a situation where you feel like a total imposter, and then work through those emotions. And that will inevitably like broaden your horizons. It's the same thing as like when I was 18 and I finished high school and I went backpacking, and I would like show up in somewhere and I wouldn't know where I was staying that night, and I'd be like, "Oh, I'll find a hostel or whatever." And then every night you don't die, you're like, "Oh my God, I can survive in the world. There's this big wide world out here." And it's scary when you've only seen it on TV or on your little phone. And then when you go out into the world and you look people in the eye, and you like meet people who are different than you, who look different than you, who lived more differently than you do, and you look them in the eye and you see a commonality, and that broadens your horizons. And I think it's the same thing with a career in music, or probably most careers, is that you have to continually expand that bubble in which you feel comfortable, and putting yourself in a situation where it's like kind of do or die. Like I'm in the studio with all these like total legends, and I'm just like this dorky Canadian guy, and I'm worried that they're going to figure me out and know that I'm not cool like they are or something like that. And then, if you're just yourself, that's the thing about being cool, is that anyone who's trying to be cool is not cool. And so if you're just yourself and you can sort of like do the emotional work of living in your skin and being okay with yourself, they will come to you. And by the end of that session, it was all hugs and high fives. And, we spent a couple of days together, and I'm still in touch with those guys. And they've played on subsequent records since and gone to their shows when they're in town. And, it's like everyone's just a person. And when you meet these people that are kind of iconic in the music realm, there's this sort of sense of like you want to defer to them in a way. And they deserve that. But at the same time, they also deserve to be treated like, if we're in a room together, like you guys are human beings, we're all here, we're all, like trying to approach any social situation with a presumption of like, somebody being worth more or less than someone else is so cringy and bad. And in fact, that's what's going to put people on edge. Like that's what's going to make them uncomfortable, is if you're like, "Oh, you're amazing and I suck," So if you just approach them like a human being and talk to them like a human being, then they're gonna relate to you, and they're gonna see you for who you are.
This is a bit of a A weird one. Sam's looking at the camera. Sam, are the cameras okay? This is the thing about a podcast version. Like, I can ask that.
Yeah. You can
How are we doing camera-wise, Sam?
After Hours with Mariah and Ty.
It's like their radio show, but in podcast form.
After Hours with Mariah and Ty is brought to you by Adult Source, goodies for grown-ups. It's more than just wall-to-wall video. It is 100% Canadian-owned. And you know what? They will help you move forward in your life in a sex-positive way. Check out Adult Source.
After Hours with Mariah and Ty.
It's like their radio show, but in podcast form.
We're back rolling, Dan. I'm betting it was a thing called S-Trip, okay? I didn't go either, so don't feel bad.
Okay.
But being in BC, while some of your classmates are in Mexico, you're camping in the woods with friends. Now, being in high school, you left food out, maybe partying too much, and a bear comes to your guys' tents in the middle of the night. So do you or will you go camping in the BC wilderness anymore? I would be done.
Oh,
Cabins don't count.
Yeah, this is like all of our friends that had means, went to Mexico for spring break in grade 12. And then a bunch of my friends who were, had no money were like, yeah, let's do our own thing. And it was I think it was just 4 of us, maybe 3 or 4 of us. And we went in the woods and we set a tent and we did what 18-year-olds do. And we had a million beers and, probably smoked some weed. And I remember like middle of the night, we all crash in this one tent. We're all sharing a tent and we hear the noise. And like, someone's like, oh my God, like we left food out. We left so much food out because we're idiots. We're dumb. We're young. We're just like, there's probably junk food everywhere, bags of chips, just like, we're just idiots. And don't have that front, what is that, cortex or whatever.
The brain's not fully there.
The brain is not fully built. And the funny thing is that I was also really, really, really stoned. And so
that would make it more scary for me, dude.
Yeah. And so I don't know if the bear was there for 1 minute or 2 hours because it's like time warped. And I remember looking around and all 3 of us are wide awake, or 4 of us, and we're just like looking at each other, but trying to be dead silent. And at one point the bear kind of brushes up against the tent and we see the wall of the tent kind of cave in a little bit as the bear's there. And we're hearing it kind of snarl and stuff. It was terrifying. And then it went away and,
But will you go back in a tent? Like, will you do it again? I wouldn't. I'd be done. Like,
I probably would, but like I would do it a little bit more smart.
Like that's like when that's like as close to that's like a shark grazing me in the water. Like, oh, no more swimming for me.
Yeah, I mean, it was also a long time ago. I feel like I've healed, but.
All right, so I'm gonna throw 3 things at you, and you're gonna tell me you're gonna rank them for what's the bigger high. Okay.
Okay.
We got singing the national anthem at the Vancouver Canucks game with Roberto Luongo right there next to you.
Yeah, that was big.
Playing the John Peel stage at Glastonbury, where I believe. I don't know if it was this one, but one of them, the Chemical Brothers, transactionally opened for you.
Yeah, because they played the night before. Yeah. That's right, yeah.
And or seeing Radiohead the night before your grade 12 final and then rocking the shit out of the final.
Oh, man. Well, okay.
Talking in terms of highs.
Yeah, in terms of highs. So at the bottom, I'm going to rank the Canucks because even though that was an amazing opportunity, and it was really cool to kind of be singing right next to Roberto Luongo, who was like right in his prime at that time. And that was a big deal for like my uncles, like, family members who previously were like, oh, Dan's trying to be a musician. That's cute. And then all of a sudden, because I sang with the Canucks, they were like, oh, my nephew's a musician.
Like, we got to get you on jock jams next.
That's right. It was, so that there was like a level of like, he's doing it for real that came with that. It was pretty amazing. I mean, I remember seeing, we're looking at 2001. So we're looking at the Kid A tour. And this was at Thunderbird Stadium. And yeah, I remember like I had a history provincial final the next morning. And I really, I'm trying to get into university at the time. I really need a good grade. And I'm like at home and I have a ticket for Radiohead with some friends. Radiohead's my favorite band, has been since I was like, 14 years old. And I decide to go. And I'm like, you know what? Caution to the wind, gotta go. And I was thinking, like, if I just stay up all night studying, I'm going to be a wreck. Like, I need to get outside. So we go to Thunderbird Stadium. The show is utterly incredible, of course. It's just like a transcendent experience. And then Next morning, go to the history provincial, and I got a 94.
Woo!
And crushed it. So that felt good. And at the time, I remember thinking I would not have scored as well on this test if I hadn't gone to the concert, because it put me in such a good mood. And then the John Peel stage, I mean, that was incredible. I got to do, actually, it was the other stage. I played the John Peel stage once, and then there was the other stage. And the other stage was where the Chemical Brothers had closed the night before, and I saw them play. And we were the first band on at like 11 a.m. where, there's like nobody there. But you get to play the other stage, which is the second biggest stage at Glastonbury, which is like the biggest festival in the world. So it was really, really cool experience. I've been to Glastonbury twice, played it twice, and both times just a crazy experience. Like one time it was super dusty and sunny. The other time it was just like there was like a foot of mud everywhere you went. Both really crazy experiences. The British do festivals like I don't want to say like they do it well. They just do it, and they do it big. And I guess they do it well. I don't know, but it's crazy. Like 200,000 people are there.
It's nuts.
It's totally insane.
It's even watching the football fans, right? Like
yeah,
it's nothing like it. We can't compete.
No,
we like to think that hockey is as big, but it's not.
No, I mean I went and saw a college football game in Oregon at the Oregon Ducks. And there's like 90,000 people there. And it's just
crazy.
it wasn't even a playoff game. Like it's just like a regular game. 90,000 people.
Mind blowing. Dan, we're going to romanticize a bit for here, okay? Because we both love a good cafe. So what in Dan Mangan's mind makes a good cafe? What stands out? Is it the person behind the counter looking like the lead singer of Aqua at Locust? Is it fresh sandwiches at a place like Olive? Is it the support of local arts? Like Community in Canmore, which you've played. Yeah. Is it the roasted daily fresh coffee at Bean Around the World? Is it a good pumpkin menu? Because you're a fan of pumpkin. What makes a good cafe, Dan?
Well, I'm gonna find a through line here. I would say at most of my favorite cafes there are plants.
Yeah,
like live plants.
Well, dead plants in a cafe would be pretty depressing. Yeah.
I mean like not fake plants.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I feel like if you're in the kind of place that puts the care into having like life around you, like greenery, foliage, and dangly, viney stuff. Here in Calgary, we went to a restaurant yesterday, a Mediterranean restaurant. I can't remember what it's called, but there's plants everywhere. And it's amazing how just like being in a place like that, nice polished concrete floors and nice old wooden tables and, cool people who work in there. And I don't know. It's just a good vibe. Like I feel like the coffee obviously is important, right? Like,
it's got it. Like that's like if it sucks, like
And I don't like this like acidic kind of like dirty water coffee. I like the earthy, like deep, dark kind of chocolatey vibe coffee. And so a good cup of coffee. A good sandwich goes a long way. I really like a good sandwich. And plants and ambiance and books and stuff like that. There's an amazing place in Berlin called the Michelberger Hotel, which is, it's like where they did the, what was that festival? People Festival. Justin Vernon from Bon Iver and a bunch of people. The Dessner brothers from the National started this festival in Berlin. But the lobby of that hotel, like when I think about like the coolest place where you want to hang, there's just books everywhere and old vintage magazines, plants everywhere. Good coffee, comfortable couches. It's a scene, and it's a really good vibe.
I'll take that answer. I'll approve. I can send you some places here after this. I'll give you a list. Dying of Exposure is your podcast. You've got the episode with Wes of the Lumineers out. Tell me about the podcast. Tell us about it. This is like a podcast cross promotion.
Not dissimilar from what we're doing right now. It's
usually this podcast is a lot more wacky and wild, but with the guests, I'll kind of tweak it.
Okay, right. You tamed it for me.
Well, no, not really. I mean, the beer spill, like we've had like at least like 50 of those. So.
Yeah, that's classic. Dying of Exposure. I mean, the title is, it's a joke. Artists will do anything for exposure, but you can die of exposure. So I had, I just had this idea, and I did 6 conversations to start it out with 6, people that I've met in the music industry or actors or writers. And so that's really it. It's long form. I try to, like yourself, I try and do some deep dive stuff, bring up some things from the past.
All I did was a quick Twitter search. No, I'm just kidding.
ChatGPT. But I really, I want to, it's long form. Usually the conversations are about an hour and a half. And I'll find like a kind of unknown song that they've probably never heard from a lesser known band. And I'll play that for them. And then we'll talk about that. And there's a bunch of segments to it. The first episode is with Wesley Schultz from the Lumineers, as you said. And I've got 5 more episodes up my sleeve here, and I'm going to kind of dish them out over the next few months.
So smart to bank them, because this is exhausting.
Yeah,
Let us tell you.
Well,
this is an
good.
award-losing podcast, Dan. We've lost to Jan Arden, so.
Well, how do you beat Jan?
She had hers banked, I think. It's like she doesn't get the burnout. It's smart.
It's good, so now I have 6 months to make some more, because I'm only doing 1 a month. That's the other thing. I'm quality over quantity, not trying to burn it, and do 1 a week. That seems insane. It's a lot of work. I don't want to be a professional podcaster. It's like
I think that is a thing. Like,
yeah.
Everyone could do it. Like,
I just I just don't want I don't want to be beholden to a schedule in that way. Mm-hmm. So I did bank them. But the funny thing is that I kind of sat on a bunch of these episodes for like almost a year. So there's some out of date stuff probably in them, but I kind of just don't care.
That's fair. This question comes from a mutual friend of ours. His name's Matthew. He said, when is Dan Mangan going to do the 9x9x9 challenge? 9 hot dogs, 9 beers, 9 songs.
9 hot dogs and 9 beers.
Because they do it in baseball, where you watch a baseball game and you do 9 beers and 9 hot dogs throughout a game.
Innings.
But why?
That's
he wants to know why you're not
Who
doing
can
it
eat
in
9
between
hot
songs.
dogs.
Sam tried to do it a couple days ago.
Maybe like the little guys?
Well, they were jumbo.
No, like
He got
9
through
jumbos?
4, yeah.
I got through 4 jumbo dogs. What did ChatGPT say it was?
I don't know, like 7. Good thing we have a mic here, and this guy's like.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine like what your pits smelled like after that? Like just like all of those like sulfates trying to work their way out of your body.
The worst thing was how easily we all did the 9 beer. I was like, this is bad.
Yeah.
Like, what does that say about us?
I mean, to be honest, when I was younger, no, 9 beers, no problem. Today, that would be a problem for me. I'd be lost. Yeah, you'd find me like wandering around and I just can't do it anymore.
The 9 hot dogs, like I think that's where it trips you up. Like the amount of salt at a certain point, your body starts to reject it.
Yeah. It's a lot. I mean, I can imagine like you see on TV like hot dog eating competitions, right? And usually what they're doing is they're taking like the little buns and the little wieners, and then they dip them in water to make the bun less whatever.
He did that.
You did it.
He dipped it in beer.
Right. Yeah. There you go. How did it make the beer taste?
It made everything taste horrible. All of it. The hot dog, the beer.
So, okay, so riddle me this. Are you lining up 9 beers in front of you, or are you going to get more beers as you go?
We did at a bar, actually.
Yeah.
Like, they kind of prepped the dogs for us, but they're like, they can't do 9 beers. And we're like, it would be the other way around, I would think. Like, it's a bunch of radio people. We can do the 9 beers.
You got to go in real hungry to try and hit 9 hot dogs.
That's what I thought, too, ridiculous.
Yeah. That's a ridiculous thing to do.
I tried to join him on it. I had 2 hot dogs, and I said, I can't do more. Like, I will die.
I'm also just like way more health conscious than I used to be. Like when I was younger, I'd not like hot dogs and pizza pops and microwave garbage, like I'd eat it all, and I was poor and just like broke and, take the crappiest food possible just to feel full. But I know the kind of like food hangover I would have now. I'm also 42, aging a little bit. Like these things hit me harder. Like the hangovers are worse. And like the salt hangover from that I would feel terrible for like 2 days just from the hot dogs.
Yeah, Sam's been in better shape.
Trooper.
Yeah.
Trooper.
He had to work the next day, which was wild. Dan, I've pretty much ran through it all. I mean, I didn't ask you about Side Door. If you want to chat about Side Door, we can chat Side Door.
Sure. Yeah. For anyone who doesn't know, Side Door is a marketplace for the arts where any space is a venue. You can make a profile for your living room, your bookstore, your backyard, your warehouse, your coffee shop, what have you. Connect directly with artists and build shows together. Ticket those shows. You can split the revenue. It's sort of like a one-stop shop place for spaces to find artists or artists to find spaces. And we're just trying to basically democratize the experience of booking shows a little bit and let everyone be involved.
Well, I checked it out last night, and I was like, I have a couple of musician friends here in Calgary. I'm going to send it their way.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're well aware. All my musician friends already follow you, and they're like, we already know that, Ty. And I'm like, all right, sorry for trying to help, guys. Dan Mangan, thank you for stopping by. Congrats on all your success. I can't wait for the show tonight. If by somehow the algorithm has brought you this interview, get tickets to a show. I saw you have quite a few dates on this tour.
Yeah, it's a bunch. We're doing a bunch of BC and Alberta, and then Toronto, Ottawa, and Ontario, and then Halifax in the new year. But in the meantime, I am doing a lot of stuff in Europe and some stuff in the States as well.
Yeah. Well, Dan Mangan, thank you so much for joining us. Hopefully you don't have to have another interview with these same questions again, because I picture myself in your shoes.
That's great, man. I appreciate the deep dig. Like I feel like it takes time and it takes effort, and that's really sweet. Thank you for doing that.
I didn't ask you about the keg, but I was like,
yeah. We were at the keg the other night.
For another, there we go. That was my only. You know what? You answered it yourself. Dan Mangan, I'll see you tonight. Goodbye.
See you tonight. That's the slogan of the keg.
Oh shit! I'll see you there. See you tonight at the keg.
You've been listening to After Hours with Mariah and Ty.
Powered by Adult Source. Goodies for grown-ups. 100% Canadian owned.
Don't forget to subscribe to this podcast and have the new episode of After Hours with Mariah and Ty downloaded weekly to whatever device you use.